Once a firm has identified its resources and capabilities, it is ready to identify its core competencies, the resources and capabilities that are a source of competitive advantage for the firm over its competitors. Core competencies emerge over time through an organizational process of accumulating and learning how to deploy different resources and capabilities. As a capacity to take action, core competencies are the crown jewels of the company. The activities the company performs especially well compared with competitors and through which the firm adds unique value to its goods or services over a long period. Remember, resources and capabilities serve as the foundation in which firms formulate and implement value-creating strategies so that the firm can achieve strategic competitiveness and earn above-average returns. However, if a firm has a deficiency in some of the resources, it may not be able to achieve strategic competitiveness. For example, insufficient financial resources may prevent a firm from implementing the processes or integrating the activities required to add superior value by limiting its ability to hire workers with the necessary skills or to invest in the capital assets like facilities and equipment that are needed. Thus, firms not only are challenged to scan the environment to identify opportunities that can be exploited, but also to have an in-depth understanding of the resources and capabilities. This enables the firm to develop strategies to exploit external opportunities while it also avoids competing in areas where the firm's resources and capabilities are inadequate. Not all of the firm's resources and capabilities are strategic assets. That is, assets that have competitive value and the potential to serve as a resource of competitive advantage. Some resources and capabilities may result in incompetence because they represent competitive areas in which the firm is weak compared to competitors. Thus, some resources or capabilities may stifle or prevent the development of a core competence. When the firm's resources and capabilities result in a core competence, the firm will be able to produce goods or services with features and characteristics that are value added by the customer. This implies that firms can implement value-creating strategies only when its capabilities and resources can be combined to form core competencies. The question is asked, how many core competencies are required for a competitive advantage? McKinsey & Company recommends that firms identify 3 or 4 competencies around which to frame their strategic actions. This section discusses 2 conceptual tools frameworks firms can use to identify competitive advantages. 4 criteria determine which of the firm's resources and capabilities are core competencies. Value chain analysis, a tool for determining which value-creating competencies should be maintained, upgraded, and developed and which should be outsourced. 4 criteria should be used to determine whether or not a firm's capabilities are core competencies and can be a source of competitive advantage. The 4 criteria of sustainable strategic capabilities are valuable, rare, costly to imitate, and non-substitutable. It is important to understand that a firm's capabilities must meet all 4 of the criteria noted earlier before they can be core competencies and enable the firm to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. However, a short-term competitive advantage is available when firm capabilities are valuable, rare, and non-substitutable. The length of time that a firm possessing such capabilities can expect to sustain a competitive advantage depends on how long it takes for competitors to successfully imitate the value-creating activity or process or reproduce value features or characteristics of the product or service. Thus, the ability to sustain a competitive advantage is dependent on firm capabilities being valuable, rare, non-substitutable, and costly to imitate. Valuable. Capabilities that are valuable help a firm exploit opportunities and or neutralize threats in the external environment. Valuable capabilities allow a firm to develop and implement strategies that create customer value. Rare. Capabilities are rare when they are possessed by few, if any, current or potential competitors. If many firms have the same capabilities, the same value-creating strategies will be selected. As a result, none of the firms will be able to achieve sustainable competitive advantage. A competitive advantage will be achieved by firms that develop and exploit capabilities that are different from those held by other firms. Costly to imitate. Capabilities are costly to imitate when other firms are unable to develop them except at a cost disadvantage relative to firms that already have them. This usually is a result of one or a combination of three conditions. 1. Unique historical conditions can make duplication of capabilities costly. For example, establishing facilities in a key location that can preempt competition when no other locations have similar value-related characteristics, or developing a unique organizational culture in the early stages of the organization's life may not be cheap to duplicate by firms that are developing theirs at a different time. A unique culture may not only serve as a source of competitive advantage, but also can be a source of competitive disadvantage. The latter may be the case when a firm's culture prevents it from recognizing or successfully adapting to changes in a turbulent environment. This may explain why such companies IBM and GM, whose cultures developed early in each company's history and during relatively calm or stable environments, were able to rely on formal controls and multiple approvals of strategies and be successful. However, their respective cultures, grounded in being rigid and a lot of bureaucracy, may have prevented them from successfully adapting to rapid environmental change in a fast-paced global environment. 2. Casual ambiguity also may prevent competitors from perfectly imitating a competency if the link between a firm's capabilities and core competencies is not identified or understood. Competitors may not be able to identify or determine how a firm uses its competencies to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. 3. Social complexity means that a firm's capabilities are the product of complex social phenomena such as interpersonal relationships within the firm. Non-substitutable. A firm's capabilities are non-substitutable when they do not have a strategic equivalence. Firm resources are strategically equivalent when each can be separately exploited to implement the same strategies. If capabilities are invisible, it is even more difficult for competitors to identify viable substitutes. Examples of capabilities that can be difficult to identify or define suitable substitutes include firm-specific knowledge and trust-based working relationships. Table 3.5 summarizes the relationship between the characteristics of a firm's capabilities, sustainability, and competitive advantage, and performance implications. Rather than repeating the table in this lecture, please refer to that in the book. Highlights from Table 3.5 are resources and capabilities that are neither valuable, rare, costly to imitate, nor non-substitutable mean that the firm will be at a competitive disadvantage and will earn below average returns. Resources and capabilities that are valuable but are neither rare nor costly to imitate and may or may not be non-substitutable mean that the firm can achieve competitive parity and earn above average returns. Resources and capabilities that are both valuable and rare but are not costly to imitate and may or may not be non-substitutable may enable the firm to achieve a temporary competitive advantage and will earn above average returns to average returns. Resources and capabilities that are valuable, rare, costly to imitate, non-substitutable will enable the firm to achieve sustainable competitive disadvantage and earn above average returns.